Because these tracks were pre-recorded and because this was premeditated, they wasn't ready to include code. Regardless of the measures of artistic freedom and why that's important, why would you ever just close the door on any type of malfeasance or any type of misuse, of these protections or misuse of the legal system? Why would you potentially allow someone to ultimately confess to a crime but never be able to use those lyrics against them in court if in fact that's what happened? We tired. Collectively, I know we're tired. Despite, you may not hear it, but we're tired. Cole dropped 7-minute drill. Flames the shit out of Kendrick.
Okay, the next one we're going to deal with is a TikTok one by the name of Christia Saciris. I probably mispronounced her name wrong. My apologies in the beginning. But yeah, she's another one of these diehard Drake stans who really do believe that Drake is somehow holding the key to this magical red button that's supposed to explode the entire building and put the industry on his ass.
Hello, hi. Morning. So now that I got my personal things out the way about this case, I did want to address the concerns that I had related to the dismissal. And y'all, for those of you who think this is just a Kendrick Lamar Drake thing, please just stay out of this post. Just stay out of it. For those of you who really want to talk about the legal aspects of the case and, what this means down the line or could potentially mean down the line to related issues, let's talk. So I must admit that I was very surprised by the dismissal, and the reasons for my surprise were really just based upon what had been transpiring and occurring throughout the life of the pleading, right? The first question I have is, why would Judge Vargas allow for discovery and subpoenaing witnesses if there wasn't a plan to go to trial? If she didn't feel that there was potential evidence that substantiated the allegations made in the petition by the plaintiff and his attorneys, why did all of that happen, right? And wouldn't that discovery or the documents contained in said discovery either disprove or prove said allegations made by the plaintiff and their attorney?
Well, there wouldn't even necessarily be any point. I believe the reason that she dismissed it is because the more shit that Drake was adding to the case, the less the shit made sense. Again, this whole thing was about defamation of character. Yet you're concerned over bots, people's paternity tests, and then you're just adding people to the lawsuit like the Super Bowl, Amazon, Rock Nation. That's literally probably where she probably dismissed the case, because you were adding things that didn't have anything to necessarily do with the case. And let's just say that there was paperwork that was in there that could have proved his point per se. Pretty much everything that he wanted within the lawsuit, he pretty much got, and everything he had to do, he withdrew it. Let's just take the bot thing for instance. Literally, one of his main points were they were botting the song, or they were illegal payola tactics. Literally, you got that evidence, and there was nothing there.
Now, in the past year, or a little bit longer than that, the term K-bots became a thing, right? And this was after a random person went on Academic Stream and said that Anthony Sala and Kendrick Lamar's team paid him to bot Not Like Us, and people just believed it. And then Joe Budden got on his podcast with no credence and said, I know for a fact Kendrick Lamar used bots. And people just believed it, right? So what did the judge say about these botting allegations? And I told you guys, after Drake's legal team tried that civil suit against iHeartRadio and against Spotify, and then ultimately dropped those two suits, there was no proof of bots, right? That's not me saying there wasn't any bots. I wouldn't know, but there was no proof of bots. Here's what the judge had to say. To allege that UMG implemented covert practices to manipulate streams of Not Like Us and initiate the recording's perceived popularity,
then majority of the things that you were inferring, you were getting from Twitter pages and comments.
Plaintiff relies on tweets by individual users and reporting from fans to allege that UMG utilized covert tactics to manipulate streams of Not Like Us. The court finds plaintiff's reliance on online comments and reporting insufficient to meet plausibility standards. Let's stop there, because that was my point. Reading people's statements.
Again, it's the internet. It's not necessarily a real place, so they're not going to take that evidence as sufficient evidence. Kendrick Lamar never called you a PDF. He said certified lover boy, certified PDF. He didn't say Aubrey Drake Graham, you're a PDF. If he would have said that, then you would have probably had a better case of winning it.
Second, I was always concerned about the heavy redaction of particular documents, although I understand on one part, this is one person's financial, information. However, in the legal forum, I'm assuming that we're all adults and folks can handle confidential information without it getting into the wrong hands, right? So if this information would have been relative to either proving or disproving part of the theory by said plaintiff, the heavy redaction was a red flag to me. I'm not even gonna lie.
The heavy redaction is not a red flag. What does my financial records or any of your business? My financial records have nothing to do with your case. Your case is defamation of character said within song lyrics. What does that have to do with my financial contract with a label that I personally have? And no, we all know most point of times a lot of stuff gets leaked, especially in today. Nothing can be truly confidential whatsoever. So yes, there are going to be parts in the contract that's going to be single-handedly redacted because it's not that person's business on how I get paid, how much I get paid, etc., etc. That's why contracts are literally like confidentiality agreements. You can't just see how much I make and then determine like, oh, you got paid this much and now I think y'all put this much to do this much. Again, my financial business has nothing to do with your defamation of character case. Again, you're citing the fact that I defamed your character. That has nothing to do with how much money that I make. That's not a red flag. And it's not anybody's business on how much I get paid. That's my personal financial business. And that shouldn't be shared, yet alone shared within this court case. Then it gets leaked out, it's shared to the public. Now people know how much money I make, and that can open up a whole nother can of worms, especially if I was able to handle my business correctly.
Like, I could understand if the judge felt that the request of those specific documents were not relative necessarily to the complaint, but they were. I'm not going back and forth in the case. If you read it, great. If you didn't, then you shouldn't be here either way. By those documents being redacted, the plaintiff and their attorneys essentially could not rule in or rule out whether or not that was part of their strategy. How do you not grant full access to information that could make or break a case? Like that, you know what I mean? Like, so if the opening allegation is defamation, right? But then the reason for the defamation needs to be proven, like they're both one and the same in this case. And so you can't not prove this and still prove that. And that's what I think was disturbing for me. So I guess by the dismissal, an artist can never seek to prove collusion via defamation, right? Or actions that run afoul of a contractual obligation between said artist and label in the name of the First Amendment. I just find that to be a little strange. The other thing that I found to be extremely interesting is by making this ruling and essentially saying that anything can be done to an artist at any time because an opinion is not actionable, because that's ultimately what this case ruling said, right? Does that now mean that due process goes out of the window for First Amendment rights? Like, it's just strange that basically this case is saying that no one can essentially bring a case before any court, like in America, alleging defamation, even if it's one piece of a bigger strategy. So we can't even touch on it. So someone can just hide behind defamation, right, and not be able to bring an action in court. That's strange. I mean, lastly, I wanted to talk about the law that the labels are pushing for in Congress that would essentially state that artists cannot be prosecuted for their lyrics, either in a criminal venue or a civil venue. Does this ruling now bolster that petition? And why in the world would you ever create an absolute in a space like this? Regardless of the measures of artistic freedom and why that's important, why would you ever just close the door on any type of malfeasance or any type of misuse, of these protections or misuse of the legal system? Why would you potentially allow someone to ultimately confess to a crime but never be able to use those lyrics against them in court if in fact that's what happened? It's just...
You can't sit there, sign a petition of the Rap Act, and then get mad when it's used in the court of law, when you signed it, with your own government name attached to it. So again, Kendrick did nothing wrong. All he did was express creative, artistic freedom, and the person he used it against is just acting like a bitch. That's it. If he had won, we wouldn't even be looking at this case at all. Because I guarantee you, had Drake won, there wouldn't even be a case to even be involved. If anything, Kendrick would have just took the L. He would have been like, damn, the nigga got me, I let the West down, and I'm probably going to have to come back harder in order for me to get my spot back. Or I'm going to have to spin the block on dude and get my spot back. That's it. But Drake didn't win. Now we're here hearing him bitch and moan and complain. It gets worse.
Hello, hi, good afternoon. Y'all, I'm about this close, bro. I'm about this close from breaking up with this genre. Like, no. And I know we tired. Collectively, I know we're tired. Despite, you may not hear it, but we're tired.
No, you're tired. don't speak for all of us. You and the rest of the OVHOES are tired. Okay? Don't speak for people who've been enjoying these last couple hip-hop albums. Y'all are tired because y'all tired of that man posting mediocrity, and you're mad because you're getting mediocrity from Drake.
I'm tired of the ABC 1, 2, 3 lyric. I'm tired of the hard ER. I'm tired. I'm tired of the shock value for no damn reason because you won't have nothing else to say. Like, I'm tired, bruh. I'm tired. Drake, I don't know what the hell. Episode 4, your album, something. This ain't it, y'all. I'm telling y'all right now. This is not it. It's not it. It's not it. We gotta do better. We gotta come harder. We gotta write. We gotta do stuff. We gotta do it. This is embarrassing. The ancestors is like, cause why? Are we out of ideas? Like, are we just out? Or just have our lived experience not shifted?
What it sounds like to me is that your musical palette hasn't shifted whatsoever. With Jay-Z features on it. Then you have the clips. Tyler the Creator, Playboy Cardi. Again, J.I.D. Again, we also got Raekwon in the mix. Ghostface Killer. There's plenty of albums that have came out this year that's not even mainstream hip-hop that are literally making noise. Y'all just don't listen to it because y'all under this assumption that Drake is all what represents hip-hop. And he isn't. And that's the problem. Y'all don't want to take a certain musical listening experience, transfer it to your minds because you're too busy worrying about what Iceman is doing. And all he's doing is just melting in mediocrity.
But before I go, let me just say this. Your absentee king ain't even gave you a 16 in about 9 months.
Again, Drake has dropped multiple songs that were supposed to be the leading singles to Iceman. As of today, none of those songs are charting on the Billboard Hot 100. You still haven't got episode 4 Iceman. And he's probably going to have to scrap that album because we all believe that that album was a part of his rollout because he thought he was going to win this case. Which he didn't. He's not going to win the reappeal, which he won't. He's going to have to scrap majority of the shit he probably said. And if you do go back to talking shit about a particular rapper, he's still got another 5 in the tuck. And trust and believe, you don't want that 5 in the tuck. Tell Iceman to chill the fuck out for he get knocked back the fuck out. Okay? And I tell y'all it gets worse from here. Let's just say it gets worse from here.
But there's a point here, and it's a very good one. The point that is being made is that because these tracks were pre-recorded and because this was premeditated, they wasn't ready to include Cole. It was never about the 3, right? It was never about the 3. Never.
Okay. Yes, these tracks were pre-recorded because I had to write the lyrics, get the beat, rap over the beat, mix and master it, and have it rendered and ready to go. If you think that's what a pre-recording process is, yes, that's what a pre-recording process is. I have an idea, thought of the idea, created the idea is out there.
Because, yeah, if you think about it, Cole dropped 7-Minute Drill. Flames the shit out of Kendrick.
Bitch, what? Bitch, what?
See how you should say so much with confidence and you still sound stupid? Let me tell you exactly the timeline in which it happened. Yes, first person shooter dropped. They wanted Kendrick on the song. Kendrick does not like Drake, which means I'm not going to be on the song with a person I don't like. So in response to that, I get asked from a couple people that Drake is beefing with at the time to be on the song. I requested to be on the song, and let's just say I accepted the beat. I say fuck both of those dudes who think they're better than me, and if they're better than me, they're gonna have to come outside and prove that they're better than me. It didn't drop till later. Code drops might delete later. Within there was 7-Minute Drill. Long story short, he said a bunch of shit he knew wasn't true. You wanna know how I know he said a lot of things that wasn't true? Cause later on when Dreamfield Fest, he came out and apologized on a national stage.
So what I wanna say right here tonight is in the midst of me doing that and in that shit, trying to find a little angle and downplay this nigga's fucking catalog and his greatness. I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers that ever touched a fucking microphone?
The only reason we even got that Cole verse was literally because his dumbass friends and the people around him hyped him up.
Because I got the world and I got my niggas like, what you gonna do, Cole? My niggas like, boy, I must have had 1,000 missed calls. Oh my fucking God. text flooded. I couldn't even answer my shit. Nigga, it's wartime.
And Kendrick don't even bat an eyelash? He don't even drop a verse anywhere on earth to respond to it? He just let that slide? Nah. And I don't even care if y'all say, well, that's because this wasn't even about him. Then how you saying it's not the big three, it's the big me? 3 minus 1 is what, 2? There's more to this story, and it's going to come out. Something is seriously wrong here. Something is more off than I ever imagined. Thank you, girl. I want to just remind everybody one last thing to consider. 17 days. It took Kendrick 17 days to respond. That's almost 3 weeks. What was happening in those 17 days? What was really going on in those 17 days?
Again, you see how you can say something with so much confidence and you still sound so stupid in everything that you say? If you want to see what I said in response to that video, I'm going to just put the TikTok right here. Hoodie Nation, are we surprised that Drake fans keep moving the goalposts every time Kendrick just beats great? But let's just get into it. First, you said the tracks were pre-recorded. There is no evidence that none of these tracks were pre-recorded. The most you heard about Euphoria is that there was a 12 to 15 minute version of the song. And until this day, I still want that released. But if you go on Drake's side, both of those tracks, even Push-Ups and Family Matters, were pre-recorded. Because you want to know why? Academics put it on the live stream. He played a part of Push-Ups, and then he literally played the second part to Family Matters. Pre-recorded diss tracks. Okay, cool. Y'all keep saying, oh, something's about to come out. Drake knows something we don't. Bro, Drake don't even got evidence for the shit that he was claiming. How you plotted for a week, fed the nigga the information, but then you're asking UMG to give you the information? This nigga just be lying in y'all face and y'all keep falling for it. Then you talking about, oh, Cole flamed the fuck out of Kendrick. Yeah, literally deleted the song and then apologized and said that Kendrick Lamar was one of the greatest fucking artists to ever grace a stage. And the only reason he even put that shit out is because the niggas was antagonizing him to say something back. Nigga was projecting. 4 albums in 12 years, nigga. Nigga, that's you. You talking about somebody music putting something to sleep? Nigga, that's always been the stain on Cole. And I love Cole. But we're not about to sit here and act like that nigga don't make sleepy ass music. That's literally what people were saying about Cole. And then for the last part, the whole, oh, Kendrick took too long to respond. I want y'all to understand something. When Jay-Z and Nas was beefing, Jay-Z dropped Takeover in September of 01. Ether came out December of 01. That's a 3-month span. Drake fans, please stop moving the goalposts.